Hello and welcome to another episode of Podfulness. Let's get started.
Hello again and welcome to another episode of Podfulness. My name is Mark. I am your host, and this is season 2 of Podfulness. You can now find us on YouTube. That's most likely where you're watching the show. Last season on Podfulness, I talked with my friends and colleagues about the podcasts that they're listening to and why they listen to these podcasts and why they like them. Well, for season 2, we've changed gears a little bit. And instead of talking to adults, I'm talking to young adults. I'm talking to teenagers because I have a teen that lives at home still. I also have an older child who's in college, but I'm fascinated by teenage life. I think back a lot about my teenage years. I think we all do, back when we had bodies that worked without problems, back when we could listen to music all the time. We were always hanging out with our friends. And I just think it'll be interesting to compare what our lives were like when we were teenagers to what it's like to be a teenager nowadays. Plus, the episodes are shorter, and that's by design. I wanted you to be able to have a podcast that you can watch or listen to, if you're in the car, listen to, as you run errands around town, or maybe you need to make a trip across the city and you've got 30 minutes in the car, you'd be able to stream this entire podcast. So we've got a guest on the show who is a wonderful person. So let's not waste any more time. Are you ready for Podfulness? Let's get to it. Each guest that comes on Podfulness fills out a questionnaire, a bio, if you will, to give me a sense of their interests, their background, the subjects that they're interested in school. And today we have a gal named Lainey, and Lainey is cool people. Lainey is 16 years old. She is a junior in high school. She plans on attending college, and then beyond that, she wants to go to med school. She's got it all mapped out, which is terrific. She runs cross country. She's involved with STUCO, which is student council, for those of you that are not hip to the lingo. She has started a club at her high school. She's in the Science Olympiad. She's really bright. She's really sweet. She's got a great personality, and I can't wait for you to meet her. So let's bring on today's guest, Lainey. Lainey, welcome to Podfulness. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. I'm so glad that you are open to coming on the show. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you're 16 and I know you're in high school.
Yeah.
So what else can you tell me?
I run cross country at my school and track. I'm in a club, or I founded a club this year called Future Medical Careers Club, which is something I'm pretty interested in. Yeah.
How is it that you're interested? You're 16 and you know for sure that you want to go into a medical career, right?
Yes, for sure.
How do you know that about yourself?
Honestly, I don't know the answer to that question. It's just always been something that I've been interested in, and I'm taking an anatomy class this year, which has been like super interesting. And
yeah. I actually think that's a science class that most high school students would get into.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's because it's tangible. Chemistry, it's a bunch of letters and numbers. It's kind of like,
I'm also taking chemistry this year, and they're very different.
Well, and there's so much more math. Is there a lot of math involved with anatomy?
There's not. No.
There's not. So are you a child of doctors?
I'm not, no.
No. Are there doctors in your family?
There's one, my great aunt. That's about it.
Oh, your great aunt. Okay. So tell me about this Future Medical Careers Club. Are there a lot of people in it?
There is, yeah. We've only had 2 meetings so far. And the first one had a lot of people at it. The second one didn't have as many, but we had a guest speaker come in who's like specifically a registered nurse. So yeah.
Okay.
Nurse practitioner.
And I know you do the Science Olympiad also.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you just, go ahead.
I was just saying, this is my first year doing it, so we haven't like officially started yet, but I'm excited.
Will you compete against other high schools?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's kind of a brain game, but focused on science?
Yeah.
All right. So obviously you want to go to med school, and
Yes.
I think you're pretty laser focused on oncology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that. That is a challenging, stressful field. So what is it about oncology that you want to do?
I mean, obviously I'm open to other fields. Just like right now, I think it would be really rewarding to help in that field.
Yeah, there's a need for sure. Would you go out of state for college, or do you want to stay close to home?
I would like to go out of state, but not like super far. Right now I'm looking at University of Michigan.
Of course. Isn't that everybody's dream school? What is it about University of Michigan? Why does everybody love it there? Have
I
you
love
visited
working
yet?
out. Yeah, I have. I'm doing an official tour next Monday, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, Ann Arbor's a pretty cool place.
Mhm.
All right, so very academic minded. You're into cross country. What is it about running that you enjoy?
I've been running since probably fourth grade. And then I used to play soccer a lot, actually. But I used to do 5Ks with my dad a lot, which I think that's kind of what got me into running.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've loved the teams that I've been on and the coaches and everything. Yeah.
At what age did you start to pass him? Did you start to finish ahead of him?
Oof, I don't know. We didn't do too many runs together after like elementary school. That's when he was probably still beating me, but
Yeah, let me tell you, as a parent, it is a drag when your kid surpasses you in basketball, in baseball, in speed. Oh my gosh, the speed. There was a time when I could run so much faster than my kids. Forget it. Forget it now. So, and you run track also in the spring, right?
Yes, yeah.
Excuse me, I lost my voice there. So I asked you a question. I have everyone fill out a little questionnaire to get to know you a little bit more.
Mhm.
And what happened was when you filled out that questionnaire the first time, I didn't get it. That was my fault. It went through. I just missed it. So you filled it out a second time and you answered questions differently, which I
Yeah, I
found really interesting.
think
So I asked you who your role models were. And of course, you said your parents, which is
yes.
wonderful. Then you said Rosalind Franklin and
Mhm.
Allison Felix. Now I know Allison Felix is an athlete,
Yes.
but I had to look up Rosalind Franklin. So tell the people listening who Rosalind Franklin is and why she's a role model for you.
Yeah, so she's a very important woman in science who actually discovered the that DNA is the helix shape, but then she got her work stolen from her, and so she doesn't have the credit for it. And yeah, I just think she's done so much for science, and I think her story is really interesting.
Yeah, I looked her up. I saw that she passed away in 1958
Yes,
and she was only 38 years old.
I think it was from radiation, maybe. I might be wrong
Oh,
on that.
yeah. Well, that seems like that could be a
Yeah.
possibility back then. But so young, she had so many more years that she could have contributed to
Mhm.
science, you know? So how did you find out about her?
I think it was in my biology class. We were talking about like DNA, and she came up, and so I just looked her up a little bit more.
And yeah, and you'll never forget her now. So tell me a little bit about high school life for you. I have two boys. I have a 17-year-old. You are 16. You are a female. So what is life like as a 16-year-old female in high school?
It can be tough sometimes,
Yeah.
but I think this year it's a lot better because people are kind of just, doing their own thing. And I've got my close group of friends, and it's very easy to just like make those connections with them and try not to worry about like other people that aren't good for me, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How long have you known these friends? Did you meet them in high school or are they carryovers from middle and elementary?
Some of them I did meet in high school, and some I've known forever since like kindergarten, first grade.
And would you say that you are a good communicator, that you all talk pretty well? And if you have an issue with one another, you're able to talk about it or
Yeah, I think so, especially with my close friends. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. Sorry.
right. How are there a lot of mean girls at school? You know what I mean by mean girls, right?
Yeah, I think once I feel like once you get to junior year, people are kind of just on the, like doing their own thing. Freshman and sophomore year, there was definitely a lot more of like the middle school drama type stuff. Yeah.
Right. So what are some of the pressures? Because there are a lot of people that listen to the show
Mhm.
that are my age, right? And maybe they don't have children or they don't have the type of relationship with their teens that they can talk. What are some of the social pressures that you experience? I just want to be able to compare them to what it was like for me when I
Mhm.
was a teenager.
Um, I mean, I think there's always the pressure to like keep up with the trends, I guess.
Hmm.
And then I think especially with social media, people are always like there's some people who live their whole life on social media,
Sure.
and so you might feel pressured to like post when you're with your friends all the time just to make people see that you have friends, I guess, if that makes sense.
Of course, that
Yeah.
makes sense. How often do we see people that look bored? They break out the phone, then they get a big smile, and then they put the phone down and they're back to resting face
Yeah.
again, right? So, do you know people when you're with them, they're just on their phone all the time?
Yeah. And I think my current group of friends were a lot better about like having connections outside of our phones, but definitely there are people who are still always on their phone.
Well, yeah, and you have that with sports. I've always said that, especially in today's day and age, if you are surrounded by your peers that are on their phones all the time, when you're in sports, the phones are away, right? So you're
Yeah.
bonding, you're socializing on the field, you're goofing around, you're having those sort of relationships that really matter, I think. So are you pretty close with your cross-country teammates?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. I asked you a question on the questionnaire. I asked you what three people would you want to have dinner with, right? And dead or alive. And again, it changed because you answered the questionnaire twice, right? So the second time you said Amelia Earhart, you said Taylor Swift, and you said Watson or Crick, right? You couldn't decide which, right? Which makes sense. But what fascinated me the first time, you said someone from the Roanoke colony. I don't know anything about the Roanoke colony, so tell me about that.
Yes, I think actually I'll go with my first answers better.
Okay.
This was a really hard question to answer.
Uh-huh.
But the Roanoke colony, they were like a colony in the Americas where people discovered them later, and it was just completely like destroyed. And they have no trace. They have no idea like what happened. The whole town was just like destroyed and abandoned, and like nobody knows what happened. So I think
like pilgrims, like they came over sometime from England or from Europe, right? And they landed here, and then whatever colony they set up just disappeared off the map.
Yeah. Like when people they just found like the ruins. I don't think they found any bones or anything either. Just abandoned.
That's super creepy.
Yeah.
which brings me back to when we started recording. I asked you if you listen to podcasts, and you said no, except for like true crime podcasts when you're on road trips. So Roanoke is a true crime. Would you listen to a true crime series about the Roanoke colony?
I would, yeah.
Of course you would. You know what? You should just come up with it yourself.
I should.
In all of your free time. Right? So I want to ask you something. I mean, I've been asking you something. I want you to ask me anything. So this is your chance to ask an adult who is also a parent. If there's any questions you have about the world through my eyes, about raising children, about what life was like back in the day, what question do you have for me, Lainey? Anything. Question maybe you're too embarrassed to ask your parents? Because I know all the answers.
What are your views on like social media and how it's used?
Oh, Lainey, look at you going there. So when social media, when I first got on there, Facebook was only for college kids. You had to have a .edu email address, and then Zuckerberg opened it up to everyone. And it was thrilling to be on there because I was reconnecting with people from high school and college, and we were sharing pictures, and it was fun. But then after a while, I would log off and I'd feel very alone. I felt very lonely. Like even though I was socializing and connecting with people, it wasn't real. And so after a while, I started posting just made up stuff. I wasn't lying to try to fool people, but it was really huge exaggerations, and people were kind of believing it and kind of not. And then I just left completely, and I wasn't missed, right? So I even put on my banner, like, if you want to reach out to me, here's my phone number, here's my email address. And I didn't hear from anyone. And I just felt really expendable and like I didn't matter, even though I was connecting with people. It was a very weird feeling. And so I gave it up for a long time, and I felt better. I rediscovered the outside. I started exercising more. I actually felt happier. So I have mixed feelings about it because I know it's necessary. And I go to Twitter. I won't call it X. I refuse to. I don't want to tell people I'm on X. That just sounds weird. But I still go to Twitter for news because it's so quick. It's so immediate. But people are mean. People are nasty. And so that's the part I struggle with. So many people have made up names and they don't use their own picture and photograph. It's just like trolls used to just stay at home, and now they've escaped, and now they're out. They've escaped the internet. And now in real life, we're treating people now the way that we treat them online. And I don't know. It was a very, very long answer, but my thoughts are on social media. It's not going anywhere. I just wish it were a kinder place, more supportive. So I imagine you encounter that too, right? Just by being a teenager, the stuff. And how do you feel about people taking your picture without you knowing it and then posting it?
I don't like that.
Right. Who would?
Yeah.
Right. And you can't, and do they even tag you? No. So, it's just a weird thing. It's privacy doesn't really exist, but you don't have to join, right? It's free. So there you go. That's a really good question. And I'm sorry my answer was so long.
No, it's all right.
All right. So Lainey, we're going to change gears now. And now we're going to talk about what you are streaming. Okay.
Okay.
So Lainey, help me to understand what you are into, what you're streaming. So let's first talk about video. I imagine you've got Netflix,
Yes.
maybe Amazon Prime,
Yeah.
Max, HBO
Maybe.
Max, maybe not.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
So what shows are you really into?
Um, let's see. I think my favorite show of all time is New Girl.
No kidding, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's funny.
I love sitcoms and they're just very like light and easy, you know.
Yeah. So who's your favorite character on New Girl? Winston's cat?
That's a good one. I don't know. I like all of them.
Yeah, it's a very funny show
Yeah.
for sure. So you like sitcoms, so you like to keep it light.
Yes, yeah. But I've also recently watched The Bear, which is very much not light.
Yeah, that's really everybody talks about how great it is. So what makes this show so wonderful?
I think the first season is very like stressful, which that was like a bit much for me, but the second season goes very into like the emotional connections between the characters and their backstories, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah. I will tell you this, if you hear adults say, "Oh, TV was so much better when I was younger," they're lying. It is not true. Have you ever watched shows from the 80s? Like have you ever
Yeah.
looked at the Love Boat or Three's Company? They do not hold up. I mean, it was such bad TV, the laugh tracks. So TV is so exceptional right now. Do your friends watch anything that you just can't get into, that you don't understand?
Maybe like I don't want to hate on the show, but like the Vampire Diaries, I can't get into that
That's
show.
still around.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Vampires have had a nice run, right?
Yeah.
I mean, werewolves don't get the love that vampires get. So you can't get into Vampire Diaries. Is there another show that your friends are really into that they keep trying to persuade you to watch and it's just not working?
Ginny and Georgia.
Now I've never heard of that. Ginny and Georgia?
Yes.
What is that?
It's just like a teen drama where they're trying to target like our generation very much, but it just isn't working.
And what network is that on, or what streaming device?
Netflix.
Oh, it's on Netflix.
Mhm.
When you watch shows about teenagers, do you feel like any of it's accurate, or is it all an exaggeration?
I think it's accurate. It can be accurate sometimes, but I think when they're specifically like trying to target Gen Z, it doesn't usually work.
Right, because it's adults that are writing the dialogue.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem right. You can always tell when it's
Yeah.
somebody who's older trying to act younger. Movie wise, what are your favorite movies?
I think my favorite movie of all time is probably Inception.
No kidding. Oh, you like Christopher Nolan then?
I do, yeah. And Interstellar, very good.
I recently watched Interstellar. Yeah, he likes to mess with the timeline, and
Yes.
yeah, Inception was one you have to watch again. Yeah. So what is it about those movies that brings you in?
I really like the mind twister type movies that like really make you think about it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, right. If you're going to invest that much time in a movie, you want to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of movies where when it's over, I immediately forget about it. I think, why did I waste my time doing that?
Yeah.
So music wise, so what happens, Lainey, here's a little insight into what happens when you get older. You end up listening to a lot of the music that you listened to when you were a teenager.
Mhm.
It just sort of happens because it imprints on you, and you associate music with a certain time of your life when you were joyful or doing silly things. So what music are you into now? Because this is the music you'll probably be listening to in 30 years.
For me, it's always changing. Like every week I have a different favorite artist. I like to listen to a variety of stuff. But currently I would say probably like pop or indie type music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You wrote down, I've never heard of Omar Apollo.
Yeah, he's a pretty good artist, yeah.
Yeah.
And Faye Webster, I think, is my favorite right now.
So you mentioned Phoebe Bridgers, who I know, but Faye Webster, what's her style?
Very like chill music. I don't know.
Chill music. So people might be writing that down to check out Faye Webster. Okay, that's Lainey's suggestion. I also know that because you're a teenager, you're on your device a lot. So here's a question for you. How many hours do you think you're on your device a day?
I think I have like the screen time thing. I'm pretty sure my average has been about 4 hours for the last like couple weeks.
Thank you for your honesty. But you are involved in sports. You started your own clubs. You are doing lots of homework, right? You're very active. Do you find that if you had 4 hours extra, you would even do more? Or is that 4 hours a break for you and it's your socializing?
I think some of it is definitely a much needed break. Like if I'll do like a lot of homework and then I'll just go on a break and talk to my friends on my phone or whatever.
Mhm.
But some of it, I do agree, I could put my phone away for a bit. But
Right. And
yeah,
what is your go-to app? What's your go-to social media?
probably Snapchat or TikTok. And I'm trying to get away from TikTok. I have a time limit set for it, but
Yeah, it seems like with Snapchat, you're able to limit yourself a little bit easier, right?
yes,
You look
yeah.
at everyone's pictures that they send you. You send probably one to a lot of people, right? You don't individualize it most often, do you?
No.
No. Okay. And then once that's over, okay, that's done. But with TikTok, it's scroll after scroll after scroll.
Yes.
Do you have TikTokers that you follow or that you specifically visit their page?
I mostly just follow my friends and then I'll just look on my For You page.
Okay. And that's For You page is based on the type of stuff that you're watching, right? So if you watch a lot of cooking videos, your For You page is going to fill up with cooking videos from people you don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. How does TikTok make money? Do you see ads on TikTok?
Yes, but you can just swipe right by them, which
You
is
just
makes
swipe
it
right
a
by
lot
them.
easier to just keep
You
scrolling.
pay no attention. How do your parents feel about your TikTok time?
Um, I don't think it's a problem for me, so I don't think that they're concerned about it, but yeah.
Now, what if TikTok came to you and said, listen, we've got a huge science branch of TikTok and we want you to be the face of TikTok science? Would you do that?
I don't think so.
You know, you don't want to be a famous TikToker?
No, people are mean, like you were talking about earlier. Yeah.
So I'm not on TikTok. So are people, when they comment, they're just as mean as they are on any other social media?
Yeah, there's a lot more restrictions on TikTok than there is on Twitter, probably, but still, people find a way around them.
Are there any apps that aren't social in nature that you're on a lot? Do you play
Um,
games?
I have I have some games. I'm not like I don't play games a lot on my phone, but the other apps that I go on probably the most are messages
Okay.
or like photos. I love looking at my photos.
Okay. And so you've got your albums are all organized.
Mostly, yeah.
Do you ever print out pictures? Because I'm looking at the wall behind you and it doesn't look like you have any photographs from your life posted up there. Are there? Oh, there's
Yeah,
one.
I do. I
There's a
can't play
couple there.
it.
But do you make photo books? Like, what's the role that
Um,
photographs play in your life outside of your phone?
I don't have like I have actually wanted to start making like a scrapbook. But I through Shutterfly I'll print out a bunch of my photos and I have a little collage over there and at my dad's house I have like tons of collages of my photos.
Okay. Very, very nice. Very nice. Well, I'm going to see how well you do with pop culture because TikTok is something where you see a lot of what's going on in current pop culture with music and celebrity and all that. So we are going to play a game in just a second here that tests your knowledge on pop culture. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, Lainey, we live in a world where sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between fact and fiction, right? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
People on social media sometimes make stuff up and sometimes there are bizarre truths and it's hard to know the difference between the two. So since we can't tell the difference between fact and fabrication, I created a game because I want to be able to assess whether you can.
Okay.
All right. And this game is called Two Truths and a Lie. No, wait a minute. I've changed it. This game is called Two Lies and a Truth.
Okay.
All right. So it's the pop star edition, essentially. So I'm going to tell you the name of a pop star, and then we can tell you three things about this pop star, and only one of them is true. And you
Okay.
have to tell me the true statement. Are we ready?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Taylor Swift. Would you say you're a Swiftie? You know a lot about her?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so here we go. Here are three things about Taylor Swift. And remember, one is a lie. No, sorry, one is the truth. One is a lie. Which is it? One is the truth. Do I
One
even
is
know what
it.
game I'm playing? Okay, here we go. Taylor Swift. As a child, she was afraid of Santa Claus.
Okay.
She grew up on a Christmas tree farm. She has a dog named Mistletoe.
And
Which
one
one
is
of
the
those
truth.
is true?
She grew up on a Christmas tree farm.
That's exactly right. How did you know that? What state did she grow up in?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, man, you do know your Taylor Swift trivia. Very
She
good,
has
Lainey.
she has a song called Christmas Tree Farm.
Oh, well, see, if I would have known that, I would have changed that question. Okay, here we go. Number 2, Ed Sheeran. You familiar with Ed Sheeran, right?
Yeah.
He has a life motto, believe it or not. Which is it? Is it smile more, eat some chocolate? Life is short, wear high heels. When life gives you lemons, make good music. Which one is Ed Sheeran's life motto?
I'm going to say, when life gives you lemons, make good music.
That's a great motto, right? I made that one up. I know. Smile more, eat some chocolate.
Interesting.
Isn't it interesting, right? That's his life motto. Okay. Number 3, Ariana Grande. We're familiar with Ariana Grande.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic singer. Her favorite movie. Is it Bruce Almighty, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, or The Mask? Those are all Jim Carrey movies. Which is her favorite?
Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty is correct, Lainey. You said that with some authority. Did you know that for sure?
Well, there's a song by Mac Miller where he references that movie. Or I think she did the song with Mac Miller. So,
okay.
yeah.
Well, there you go. Okay, very good. You're paying attention to the world around you. I like that. Okay, 2 out of 3. The Weeknd.
Okay.
He wears a bandaged face in the video Save Your Tears. The question is why? Why does he do that? I'm going to give you 3 reasons. One of these is true. Because he wants to raise awareness for skyrocketing healthcare costs. He's always been obsessed with Halloween and cool masks, or he's making a statement on celebrity culture. Healthcare commentary, he likes Halloween, celebrity culture.
I'm going to say he's making a statement on celebrity culture.
You are correct.
Actually?
Yes. He said the significance of the entire head bandage is reflecting on the absurd culture of Hollywood celebrity and people manipulating themselves for superficial reasons to please and be validated. Isn't that what social media is in general?
Yes.
All right, so here we go. You're killing it. Number 5, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga suffers from fibromyalgia, osteoporosis, which is when your bones become weak and brittle, or hypertension, which is essentially high blood pressure, which causes a heart attack and stroke. So Lady Gaga suffers from fibromyalgia, osteoporosis, hypertension.
I've definitely heard about her talking about this. I'm going to say fibromyalgia.
That is correct, lady. You should be so proud of yourself. She reportedly suffers from fibromyalgia, which is a long-term condition that causes widespread pain. Okay, you are 4 out of 5. Here we go. Justin Bieber.
Okay.
We all know Bieber. He has his own line of sports drinks sold only in Canada, and they're called Davy Shakes.
Okay.
Bieber has his own clothing line called Drew House. Bieber has a toothpaste for children called Dwight Bright. So which of these is the truth? Davy Shakes sports drink, Drew House clothing line, or Dwight Bright toothpaste?
The clothing one?
Yes, Lainey.
Oh my gosh.
You are going to be so good on the Science Olympiad team. You're an excellent guesser. Expanding beyond music, Bieber launched his own clothing line offering a range of streetwear-inspired apparel.
Interesting.
You were 5 out of 6, Lainey. I have no more. It was hard to come up with those lies, but you saw right through them. Thank you for that. Are there any questions, any comments, anything you want to say to the world that's listening right now?
I mean, that was a great game. It was really fun.
A good game? Okay. Well, if you can come up with any other games, let me know, and maybe I can use them on future episodes.
Gotcha.
So you have been watching on YouTube. You've been listening to through streaming devices, Podfulness. My name is Mark Bernstein. I'm the host. You can visit us on Instagram at Podfulness. I'm on Twitter and X. That sounds so weird. Like I'm taking some illicit drug at Podfulness. And of course, YouTube, it's at Podfulness. Lainey, thanks for coming on the show. You didn't know what you were in for, and you did a great job.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, of course. And so for the rest of you, I will see you next time on another episode of
Podfulness.